You are a Dallas Cowboy.
Just being physical. I'd rather beat up hammer and not the nail.
To the outside. He hurdles inside the...
I feel like I can really do everything on the field.
On February 21st, 2026, Javonte Williams signed a 3-year, $24 million deal with the Dallas Cowboys.
Glad they're able to get the deal done for all parties, and he's a huge part of our success and what we're going to do.
Last season, he ran for 1,201 yards and 11 touchdowns, the most rushing yards any Cowboys has put up since Ezekiel Elliott back in 2019. But what you probably didn't know is that 3 years before that contract, this same player was lying on the turf in Las Vegas with his knee torn apart, and most of the NFL had quietly decided that he was finished.
Javonte Williams.
Javonte Williams suffering a torn ACL that will end his season with the Broncos.
So what happened? How does a running back go from a destroyed knee to leading the Dallas Cowboys in rushing and earning himself the richest payday of his life? It started on October 2nd, 2022. It was week 4. The Denver Broncos were playing the Raiders. Javonte Williams was 22 years old and coming off of a rookie season that had made him look like a future star. Then, on the first play of the second half, he took a handoff. He got hit, and his right knee gave out. He tore 3 ligaments, his ACL, his LCL, and the posterolateral corner of the knee.
I couldn't really move my knee at all. I had to learn how to bend it again, learn how to walk. I was just sitting there, just staring at the ceiling and just praying, asking God, like, please help me. And
3 of the structures that hold a knee together, torn on a single play, the kind of injury that ends careers.
all that, I feel like the hardest part was just mentally.
He was carted off the field. His season was over after just 4 games. The recovery timeline was 10 to 12 months. And the runner who came back was not the same runner who left. In 2023, he returned, but the explosion was gone. He rushed for 774 yards at just 3.6 per carry and battled through a hip injury on top of the knee. In 2024, his role shrank again, only 513 yards. Head coach Sean Payton called the Denver backfield frustrating. And by the end of that season, Javonte Williams was barely on the field at all. Just 12 carries across the final 3 games. In Week 17 against Cincinnati, he didn't get a single one. So Denver let him walk, and the outside world had already written the ending.
And he's like the running back by default. It felt like nobody really wanted him.
I mean, he was a bust in Denver.
A former second-round pick whose body had betrayed him. Another cautionary tale about spending high picks on running backs.
I was so frustrated the past 2 years because I'm like, I know I can still do it. It's just not happening right now. I just got to keep believing in myself, and I'm just glad everything is starting to come together.
When Dallas signed him in March of 2025, it barely made the news. A cheap 1-year deal for a runner that most people had forgotten. But to understand why that ending was wrong, you need to know where Javonte Williams came from. Javonte Williams was born on April 25, 2000, in Wallace, North Carolina, a small farming town in the coastal plains of the state, a place that ranks first and second in all of North Carolina for chicken and pig production. One of his coaches once described it as a town with nothing but chicken, pigs, and pigskin. To the people there, he isn't Javonte, he's Pookie.
And then what do your teammates call you?
Him. Nah, I was just playing. They called me Pookie.
And he loved that town so much he had the word Wallace tattooed across his stomach so it would be with him everywhere he went. But here's the strange part. The one trait that would define Javonte Williams as a football player, his balance, almost never existed. When he was a baby, he couldn't stay standing up. An inner ear problem was throwing off his equilibrium. Doctors had to put tubes in his ears to fix it. His mother said that once he got those tubes, he got up and he was able to move. The balance that the NFL scouts would obsess over 20 years later was handed to him by a doctor first before he could walk. His father, Jermaine Williams, had been a linebacker himself in high school.
Pretty stressful because he had got to the point he was getting discouraged and don't nobody want me to play, so I just go to school.
Only game my dad ever missed was we played the Browns 1 year in Cleveland. Other than that, he's been in every game since I was little.
His mother, Shakima Williams, ran a house where education came first. And when a young Javonte scored 16 touchdowns in his very first youth season and then cried when people tried to congratulate him, it was because he genuinely thought scoring was just the expectation. As he put it to his dad, "I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do." By high school, Javonte Williams was not even a running back. He was a middle linebacker, and a punishing one. Over 2 seasons, he piled up 377 tackles. His coach, Joey Price, put it as plainly as it could be put. When he hits you, it hurts you. He was a 4-time state champion, a championship game most valuable player, and in the classroom, he was one of the smartest kids in the entire school. Javonte Williams graduated as his class valedictorian with a 4.6 grade point average. His coaches like to say his worst grade in all of school was a 97. But here's what nobody believed at the time.
I feel like a lot of people try to just place that tag on me.
In football, this kid was going nowhere. Division I programs were not calling. His only real interest came from Harvard, from Yale, from Coastal Carolina. North Carolina, the school he had loved his whole life, only wanted him as a walk-on. No scholarship, no promise of anything. And Javonte, he said no thanks. His mother had one rule in that house. She would tell him, don't ever settle, and he didn't. He turned down the sure thing and bet everything on earning a real scholarship. His high school coach, Kevin Motzinger, had already made the boldest move of all. He took his best linebacker and moved him to running back for his senior year just to give college scouts a reason to look. Motzinger called him the complete package.
He's the complete package, just character. He's the kind of guy you want dating your daughter.
To bulk up for the beating of a new position, Javonte added nearly 30 pounds of muscle, going from 187 to 214, reportedly eating 4 or 5 steaks a week to do it. And then came the game that saved everything. In the state championships played inside North Carolina's own stadium in front of the exact coaches deciding his future, Javonte Williams took the very first play from scrimmage 73 yards for a touchdown. He ran for 208 yards that night. North Carolina's staff made up their mind on the spot. They made him an offer. One game is how close his whole career came to ending in the classroom instead of on a field. At North Carolina, Javonte Williams became something the sport had never quite measured before. In 2020, paired with running back Michael Carter, the two of them combined for 544 rushing yards in a single game against Miami. It was a record for the two teammates, the most anybody had ever seen in one game. Williams alone ran for 236 of them. Watching one of those tackle-breaking runs, head coach Mac Brown just shook his head and said, "That's the NFL run."
Javonte ran over about 4 of them, and I looked at him and said, well, he's gone. That's the NFL run.
But the number that mattered most was smaller and stranger. That season, the analytics site Pro Football Focus tracked Javonte Williams forcing a missed tackle on nearly half of everything he touched. His broken tackle rate was the highest they had ever recorded from anyone. He forced 75 missed tackles, the most in the entire country. The kid who was born unable to stand up had somehow become the single hardest man in college football to knock off his feet. The Denver Broncos saw it. On draft night in 2021, Denver wanted him so badly they made a trade, giving up 2 of their own draft picks to Atlanta just to jump ahead of the other teams and grab Javonte Williams with pick 35 in the second round.
You're one of our favorite players in the draft, and we got you, buddy.
Their general manager, George Patton, did not overthink the reason. To Patton, it was simple. He would have been gone. Javonte held his draft party not at some new house, but back at his grandmother's place where he grew up, where he was still just Pookie. He had always felt overlooked, and that night, he finally wasn't. As a rookie, he looked exactly like the player Denver traded up for. He ran for 903 yards and caught passes for more than 300 more, splitting the backfield with veteran Melvin Gordon and making the all-rookie team. And his very first 100-yard game in the NFL, 111 yards, came in Week 9 against the Dallas Cowboys. The team that he would one day help carry first got introduced to him by getting run over by him. Everything pointed toward a breakout. And then came that first play of the second half in Las Vegas. That is the moment we opened with. The knee, the cart, the 10 to 12 months. And this is exactly where the rest of the league closed the book on him. But think about what that injury actually went after. It went after his knee. It went after his balance. It aimed straight at the one thing that made Javonte Williams special. And here's the truth about that balance. A defense in Las Vegas did not give it to him. So a defense in Las Vegas could not literally take it away. A doctor gave it to him before he could walk, and nobody was ever taking it. When Dallas signed him in 2025, they were not betting on the runner Denver had given up on. They had a problem to solve. After letting Rico Dowdle in his 1,000-yard season walk in free agency, the Cowboys had a hole at running back, a position their own fans had been frustrated with for years. They also had a brand new head coach in Brian Schottenheimer, and Schottenheimer saw something on the game film that everyone else had stopped looking for.
Thrilled that he's going to a place that is a great fit for him.
But, we're not done.
What he found was not just a runner. It was a professional. As Schottenheimer put it, he's a guy that truly gets it, man. He's watched Javonte show up to every meeting prepared, master the hardest parts of the playbook, and pick up pass protection, the blocking that keeps the quarterback from getting hit faster than anyone in the building expected. In minicamp, when Schottenheimer told the quarterback to remind Javonte about something, Dak Prescott just looked at him and said he's a valedictorian. And the nickname stuck. Around the Cowboys, Javonte Williams became Valedictorian Tay. And there's one more thing about that kid from Wallace that nobody could have scripted. Growing up, Javonte Williams loved Westerns and he loved horses. He wore a cowboy hat, boots, and shoulder pads around the house before he was ever big enough to really play. He still owns horses to this day. The boy who dreamed about being a cowboy grew up to become a Dallas Cowboy. Then the season started, and the runner everyone had written off did not just come back, he took over. In 2025, Javonte Williams carried the ball 252 times for 1,201 yards and 11 touchdowns. He averaged 4.8 yards per carry, a career high, 3 years after doctors had to rebuild his knee. Those 11 rushing touchdowns were the most by a Cowboys back since Elliott in 2022. He didn't play a single snap in the preseason, and he still won the starting job before week 1. He became the engine of one of the most explosive offensive in football, lined up next to Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens. And in February of 2026, Dallas paid him for all of it. A 3-year, $24 million deal with $16 million of it guaranteed, which is money he keeps no matter what. The bargain that nobody noticed had turned into one of the best signings in football. Today, Javonte Williams wears number 33 for the Dallas Cowboys. In just his second year with the team, his head coach named him to the Cowboys Leadership Council. His teammates describe a man who barely says a word in the locker room and then becomes someone else entirely once he steps between the lines. Receiver Javonte Turpin put it this way: he's a quiet guy, but when he gets on the field, he turns into the Terminator. Javonte Williams, number 33, a Dallas Cowboy. And after everything it took just to get here, the best chapter of the story might still be in front of him.